Hello, and welcome back to For the Souls podcast. Today, I'm joined by a renowned Sacramento tattoo artist. You may have seen him on Instagram. Welcome, Jesse, Sacramento Native, born and raised here. You reached out to me wanting to share your testimony, and you told me a little bit so far, and I know it's going to be extremely powerful. But let's take it back to the beginning. I mentioned you're a tattoo artist.
Right.
We're going to be talking about your adolescence, some prison time that you faced, and just your overall perseverance through that adversity. So take us back to the beginning. You mentioned that you're not Mexican. For those of you that might think he is Mexican, you're actually Romanian American.
Romanian American, full blood. Yep, both parents immigrated.
And what year did they migrate here? If you remember, or how old were you?
I could say it was about 40 years ago. Around 40 years ago, because I'm 36 now, so I was born here. So it was a little bit before I was born they got here.
Yeah, and they migrated straight to Sacramento, California?
No. They first they went to, I believe, Utah.
Yeah.
And then from there, because I guess they were part of like a church program where they were able to come through in refugee type of situation because it was a communist country.
Oh, gotcha. Oh.
Yeah.
So they experienced all of that.
So yeah, they got to experience that stuff. So they were able to come to the United States, and so from Utah they went from there to San Bernardino.
Okay.
From San Bernardino, we went to Sacramento.
Yeah, and this is where you were born.
And I was born here in Sac. Yeah.
And so, what part of Sac did you guys move to?
When we got to Sac, we moved straight to Oak Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the hood.
Yeah, straight to Oak Park. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what was that? What was growing up in that environment like?
I was really young when we were living in Oak Park, so probably up to like maybe like first, second grade. Mm-hmm. But it was the normal. I mean, what I thought was the normal, you know?
Yeah.
Just helicopters every night, shootings, stuff like that. It was pretty bad. That was like early 90s, you know?
Yeah, isn't it a trip how when we grow up in these environments, we don't really realize that maybe, who knows what normal is, right?
Right.
But we don't really realize that, oh shit, there's other forms of living because this is all we know.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of people get comfortable in the chaos, I find, and that's why breaking out of it feels so foreign, you know, when you're trying to change your life, because what does that even look like? So you mentioned that your family was in the church.
Yeah, heavy in church. Yeah.
So you're of faith. Your family's of a faith background.
Yeah.
Are you a believer in Christ?
I believe. I think it's a difference between like actually practicing it. I don't practice it as much as I should, you know.
Yeah.
But I have a certain belief system, you know, and that came from my background as well as like, you know, just what I've come to believe my own way, you know.
Yeah. And were you like actively involved in the church growing up? Were your parents like teaching you that?
I remember like growing up, my parents were deep into it. So we would go to church like twice on Sunday, once on Monday, once on Wednesday. It was like that. And then you know, there was a time where we started, you know, running around the streets and stuff, and we'd have to be like, hey, we got to go to church, you know? And so me and my brother got known as the church boys. Yeah. You know, around the hood and shit. So, yeah.
That's hella funny. I remember I used to actually ditch youth group to be with my husband.
Yeah?
Yeah, we would ditch all the time. He'd come pick us up in West Sac.
Yeah.
And we did. You know what, now that I think about it, like I went to church camps and it was always us, like more hood folk that just gravitated towards each other.
Exactly.
And it's hella funny because you think about it and you're like, our parents are trying to change our lives and give us good influences. Yeah. And here we are, knuckleheads.
I know.
You know, doing what we do. So you mentioned, obviously, I don't want to get to it too fast, but you were living in the hood. You inevitably have good parents, right? They were trying to give you a good foundation when it comes to your faith and all of that stuff. When you and I were talking via Instagram and you let me know a little about yourself, you come from a big family.
Yeah, big family.
So how did that impact you per se? Like, do you feel like you got the attention and your emotional needs met growing up? Or was it hard to spread that out, would you say, because of the big family that you have?
Yeah, so it's crazy because the way my family was, it was like we came in waves. Yeah. So I have older siblings that are like much older than me, you know? Yeah. So I believe,
because you said you're 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, 2 of my brothers and 2 of my sisters were born there.
Oh, okay.
So they were already older when, by the time I was born.
Yeah.
So, like a whole class of them would move out, and then me and then my other two brothers would kind of grow up together. So
Yeah.
the rest were like already doing their own thing. So I mean, it was weird because I remember one time we were all together under one roof.
Yeah.
So it was like, imagine the Home Alone movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I could imagine. And being that you were the youngest, and obviously a little bit of what you shared about your testimony doing, prison time.
Yeah.
Did any of your other siblings like fall victim to the lifestyle that you eventually got into?
Yeah. So that's the thing. When we lived in Oak Park, my like I said, my older brother, he was he was older already. So he by that time he started already running the streets.
Yeah.
So he would eventually end up going to prison on a couple times. So to us, me and because I have a brother that's like a year and a half older.
Yeah.
So we kind of grew up more like homies.
Yeah.
So to us, our older brother, he was like the hero. Like we kind of wanted to imitate that.
Yeah.
We're like, oh man, he's going to prison. He's tatted up. He's living that
he's
life.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every hood story ends up like that. You see
yeah.
them, you see what they're bringing in, who they're around, and there's in awe of that lifestyle, but we're hella naive, right? Because where that lands you is a freaking hole that you got to get out of.
Right.
That is extremely hard to get out of. What was the impact on your parents watching like your brother fall victim to that lifestyle, right? And then eventually watching you as well go down that same road.
Yeah, that's the one thing, I always think about, like, man, I see my parents cry so much for us,
Yeah.
So for sure, like, it was anytime my brother would get locked up, it was a tragedy to my parents. My mom, she's very sensitive, super sensitive, so she would always cry, and we'd watch her, and then and man, it was just kind of like when we seen that happen. I mean, it didn't deter us. I don't know what it was, but it was like, okay, now it's our turn,
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a rite of passage, the way I seen it.
No, I hear you with that because I was, in my adolescence, I was a real big ass knucklehead.
Yeah.
Like, and I think back and I'm like, now as an adult, now that I have kids, now that like I've changed my life, I'm like, oh my God, if my fucking kids were to put me through the shit that I put my mom through, like, I would be stressed. I would fucking have a head full of gray hairs. Like, I would be stressed out. I can't even imagine. I used to run away, I was constantly fighting, had cops come into the house.
Right.
And my mom is so chill. Like, she's like that too. She's like super sensitive, super chill, totally opposite of me. And here I am, a fucking heathen, putting her through so much.
I know. That's what I say about my son. He's 20 now. He's about to be 21. So, and just like, I know he had a rough upbringing, and then, people would say things like, oh, you got to watch him. I'm like, man, that kid is straight. He ain't nothing like me, So that's good.
Well, what a blessing.
Yeah,
that's a
sure,
major blessing.
For sure.
So let's talk about your adolescence. You grew up the way you grew up, the influences, the environmental influences, right?
Yeah.
At what age would you say you started hitting the wrong path or being around the wrong influences?
I guess from we left Oak Park, and then we did a little bit of we like maybe like a year, and we got this rental house in Elk Grove.
Yeah.
Like the Jeffersons moving on up.
Yeah, which is considered super nice.
Yes, but it was a rental, and then shit happened. My dad ended up losing it, so we ended up having to go back to the hood. So that's when we moved to 29th Street. So 29th Street, yep, that's where my stomping grounds are at. That's where I started running the streets, right there. Florin and Meadows area.
Yep, I know exactly where that's at.
Yep. So
and was it just gradual? Like you just found yourself all of a sudden you woke up one day and you're like, oh shit, like I'm really in this shit. Or was it a choice? Like, could you consciously remember a choice of you being like, yeah, I'm about to just be reckless?
Yeah, well, I would say like it was man, like you said, like the hood kids always gravitate towards each other. So I remember every school I went to, I was right there. I was one of them knuckleheads. So.
Knucklehead in what way? Elaborate. Like, what was your personality like? You were a
fighter?
Well,
I like to fight. Yep, I like to fight, and I was just just joking around, not paying attention, just bullshitting, Yeah.
Did you do good in school?
No, not really. No. I don't know. Just didn't really pay attention to me,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just too many distractions, I think, for me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I would eventually try to start doing good, you know, in my high school years. But going back to the adolescence. But I think it was middle school.
Yeah.
Middle school years. You know, I ended up going to Gady, part of my 7th grade, and then 8th grade right there, and then just Gady.
Did your parents ever try to intervene or like, hey, you're fucking up?
Yeah. I mean, my parents. My dad. He used to be in the military in Romania, so he ain't no pushover. I mean, and then they go by Romanian standards. They don't go by American standards. They'll put hands and feet on you. You know. So for sure, my parents. They tried to intervene in whatever methods that they knew. They knew. You know.
Yeah.
It wasn't always the best, but I know that they were doing what they were taught. How they grew up. You know.
Yeah.
So for sure, like they would try to discipline me, you know, and they were hard in the sense that they didn't want us to have friends, you know. They told us that our friends could be the friends at school type stuff, you know. They wanted us in before the street lights came on, so they pushed a hard line, you know.
Yeah. Do you feel like maybe their attempt to kind of keep you on a leash made you want to be off of it even more?
Yeah, so that was the kind of, I guess, the kind of blowback from trying to raise American kids with Romanian culture, right?
Yeah, because the culture is here is so different.
They're doing what they were taught in Romania and how they were raised, you know, but we go to school and we see how other kids are and how they have it, you know, and they got new stuff and stuff like that, and they got these luxuries, and we see how parents treat their kids, and I'm sure like familiar with the Mexican culture as well, you know, so I know how it is, right, where it's not very affectionate, not very affectionate at all, you know, so no love yous, no hugs, no kisses, no nothing like that, you know, but it was just like, you know, toe that line, you know, do this and do that, and so you know, just after a while, you know, I remember, you know, us meeting the neighborhood kids and stuff, and they wanted to do these things and stay out all night and drink and party, and we wanted to do it too. So, you know, it started out like sneaking out, you know, and then moms would always catch us, man. She'd be waiting for us, you know, waiting for us to come back. And then that turned into just blatantly just not even coming home, you know?
Yeah, because at one point you get to an age where it's like, what can they do, right?
Right.
I mean, honestly, you go for, especially for young men.
Yeah.
Because you guys go through this moment where you guys are like little kids,
exactly.
boys, little kids, and then boom, you're like testosterone done kicked in. You're
I'm a grown-ass
man now.
Yeah.
You know? All of a sudden you're walking with your chest out, freaking chin up, like what you gonna do?
Right.
You know? And it just, that stuff doesn't work anymore.
Right.
I want to double back real quick. You talked about the emotionlessness that comes with like a lot of immigrant families and how that ties to the Mexican culture. That rings so true. And I find that an observation that I've made is that with a lot of immigrant families, right?
Yeah.
They've been so focused on survival.
Exactly.
That it's like they didn't have no time to learn emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I find that us first gen, like Mexican Americans, Romanian Americans, whatever we may be, right? We went through our struggles, but I think we're more keen to like, okay, hold up, this is where our parents fucked up, and now we have to
break that cycle.
We have to break that cycle.
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting.
For sure. Yeah.
So, at what age did you begin to really face consequences to the decisions that you were making in life? And could you elaborate on maybe some of the things that you were doing?
Yeah. No. So right there, man. So I started. I guess I started hitting high school. You know, so graduating from middle school to high school meant graduating crimes, you know. I was just, again, going back to what I said earlier, you know, it was doing what I thought was the normal, you know. I don't think like I was doing anything outside of what everybody else was doing, you know.
Yeah. Did you ever think about like the consequences to your actions? Like, did you ever like understand the gravity? Because I feel like for me, you know, in retrospect, some of the things that I've done in life, I'm like, as a fucking young 14, 15, 16-year-old, I realized that in that moment, I really didn't think about the gravity of a certain consequence. Like, I would get in fights and slam a girl's head on the floor. I could have killed her. That thought never crossed my mind. Now, as an adult, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, that could be manslaughter right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, it crosses, I feel like it crosses your mind. but it's like, it ain't gonna happen to me. Like, I'm untouchable, or I've got away before, so of course, you know, or even if it does happen, it ain't gonna be nothing too bad. You always minimize everything, you know. You find a way to minimize it. So,
that invincibleness that we feel when we're young.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then ignorance is bliss. So what we don't know don't hurt us.
Right.
Until we're forced to learn it. Right.
Right. Exactly. Until they hit you in the face.
So at what age did you run into the law and really do your first like, oh shit?
Okay, so I had a couple juvenile hall trips, stupid shit, you know, like burglaries and just fighting and breaking probation and dirty P tests. It's stupid shit, you know.
Yeah.
So that would be just me going in and out of juvenile hall, doing 6 months, a year. Just, I think like it started when I was like probably. I first got arrested when I was 12. Right, but this cop just booked me in and tried to scare me, have my parents come pick me up, you know?
Like a scare you straight type of thing?
Yeah, but they put the cuffs on and they drove me, you know what I mean?
Were you scared?
Hell yeah, you know?
But it didn't stop you?
Nah, that got me on probation.
Okay.
So at 12 years old, I just got caught up in that web and never got out, you know? Yeah. So from there, Do you
think that's the case for a lot of people?
I think so. I think because kids are going to do stupid shit in life, and that probation over their head is like any little thing that's it. You're going back in the system. Yeah. They fall into that web, you know, they can't get out.
Yeah, damn. Such a sticky trap, huh?
Yeah.
And so you were in and out of juvenile hall. You had those things, and in that time, nothing occurred to you like, I got to change my life. Did you ever attempt to break the lifestyle you were living? And
well, when my son came around, I tried.
And at what age was this?
Yeah, so I was a freshman in high school. I was 14 when she got pregnant.
Oh, so very young.
I was 14 years old, and then we had him when I was 15. Yeah, and then I tried to do the right thing, you know. I even I moved out. I haven't lived with my parents since I was 15 years old. I've been on my own, you know. But I moved out with my baby mama at the time, and I was trying to do the right thing, you know. But she was working, and I was doing homeschool because I figured school wasn't thing, you know. But I actually was doing really good at homeschool, you know, once I could sit down and not deal with the distractions of school, you know. So that was working out because I was actually catching up. And then so I would stay home, do like a stay-home daddy thing, you know. So she was working, and we were doing that. And then when she'd get off work, boom, that's it. I'm going to the streets, you know. I'm going out with the homies.
Yeah, that's your break.
Yeah, that was it, you know. So I was just trying to live both lives. I think that's what it was, you know.
Yeah, and that's such a hard balance for, I mean, a lot of young men, even young women, right? I had my daughter, we had our daughter, 17, he was 18. And we didn't get our shit together in terms of like maturity, emotional intelligence till about 21, 22.
Right, exactly.
You know, I was still in that mentality. And, you know, I think a lot of people have this notion that having kids is going to change you. In a sense, yes, right? Because now you're motivated. But when you're a kid raising a kid on top of what we didn't have in terms of like our immediate family that we come from and those like there's just shit that you don't know. You're learning as you go. Right. Do you feel like that was the case for you?
Definitely. You know, I mean, even like, you know, they did this study where they show that the mind doesn't fully develop until somebody's 23 years old. And that includes the ability to make judgment. And
the frontal cortex, right? I think it's 25.
25, right.
Yeah.
So, shit. Yeah, so I feel like there's a lot of undevelopment that happens and that people who have babies at such a young age, they don't know how to deal with it. You know, I talked to a client of mine who told me she had a kid when she was, I believe, 18 years old. Yeah. And she told me that she was just unequipped, and every time the baby cried, she cried. So I was like, damn, that's crazy.
No,
it's
true.
They were just not equipped. You know, some people are more equipped than others, you know.
Yeah, that's very true. Wow. Yeah. That just takes me down memory lane with me when I was when you just said that she cried, the baby would cry. Like, yes, I remember just being like, what in the... This is a whole human I have to raise. I can't even raise myself right now. But, you know, we figure it out as we go. So you did that. You had your son. You were still in the streets. Yeah. I know you have a new wife, not to talk about your baby mama too much, but did she try to keep you out of that?
Well, once I went to prison, you know, once that fell apart,
Okay.
But at the time, we were trying to make it work. We were young, we were trying to make it work. And then, like I said, I would eventually end up catching this case.
Yeah.
And then we could go into that.
Yeah, well, let's go
bit.
into that. You
A little bit.
So,
All
what
right.
happened there? Because that was one of the pivotal moments in your life that
Yeah.
altered you.
Yeah, so it's just gangbanging. That's all I could pretty much put it in words. You know, it was just we was out and we wanted to trip, and then we were looking for problems, and it ain't hard to find them when you're looking for them.
Yeah.
So, it just man, it was just a bad, it's just a bad night that turned into an ugly morning.
Yeah.
We got into a fight with some guys. We got outnumbered, and I felt like, I pulled out a knife.
Survival of the fittest.
I pulled out a knife. Yep. What's crazy is I had a walking boot on at the time. I had a broken foot. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean,
just.
not justifying your decision, but kind of
Yeah.
like, I mean, your back's against the wall.
Yeah.
You kind of like, they're one up.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
literally got one leg on. You can see
Yeah.
why you did what you did.
Right. So, but whatever the case is, that night or that morning, we all eventually get caught up. And they tell us they got multiple eyewitnesses. I mean, shit, it happened at a high school.
Oh, and then you're on school campus.
Yeah. So after all that Columbine shit just happened, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So did that take it up a notch then in terms of like what they were trying to hit you with?
They
Because
were
it was
just,
on campus?
I feel like it made it on a lot of the, frontline news.
Yeah.
Because it was out of school, So it made it on the Sacramento Bee and all that stuff. So it was a big deal at the time,
Yeah.
And I remember my parents, they always tell me this story about when they were driving one day. That day it happened, and my dad, he has this little TV that he ghetto rigged up there, and they're watching the news, and this story comes on, and they're like, hey, this happened, and then and my dad was like, whoever did that, send them to hell.
Dang, little did he know.
Yeah,
it
he
was
didn't
his
know.
son.
He didn't know. He didn't know. But it's all right. It was crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They tell me this story like they
So
didn't
how did
know.
they react when they found out?
I don't know, but I could tell you, I'm sure it wasn't good. I was locked up.
So you didn't? Were you able to call them from jail? Like, how did they find out?
I went to juvenile hall. I was a juvenile.
Okay.
I was 17 years old. I had just turned 17. The other guys I was with, they were all adults. Yeah. So I went to juvenile hall. I would eventually wake up to an attorney visit. I was drunk. Yeah. I was drunk. And then I would wake up. I got an attorney visit. That's when they would tell me, like, hey, you're facing, attempted murder charges. And I was like, what?
What did you feel when you heard that? Because that's some serious shit.
Right. I was like, wait a minute. I thought I was going to Boys Ranch. Because I remember the last time I seen the judge, she said, if I see you again, I'm sending you to Boys Ranch, I was like, shit, I ain't tripping. I'll go to Boys Ranch, kick it with the homies,
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal to me,
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what do you mean attempted murder? And they were like, yeah, and we're charging you as an adult. So I knew, at that point, I knew I was looking at life,
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Did you ever feel defeated? Did you did your young 17-year-old mind grasp the fact that like I might be done for? Like I might be done.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't long after that, where I would say maybe a few months after that, it was very stressful. I could tell you that, very stressful. Where to the point like I couldn't eat and shit like that, thinking about whether or not they were gonna really try to take my life, But they would reduce the charges early into the ongoings of the trial, So like during my preliminary hearings, they would reduce the charges to assault with a deadly weapon and gang enhancement,
Okay.
So that would kind of like, now it kind of like, it felt almost, and it sounds ridiculous, but it felt almost like anything they throw at me is better than life. I'll take it,
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
in that situation, of course. So you get to prison.
Yeah.
What was that adjustment like?
Prison, yeah. In the beginning, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, where can I start? Like.
Was it intimidating?
Yeah, of course.
Were you scared?
Of course. Of course, yeah.
Do you think that people say they aren't scared, they're lying?
Yeah, 100%. I think the real ones will tell you, like, yeah, everybody felt that fear, but you need that fear, you know?
Yeah.
That's what's going to keep you alive, you know? That sense of fear, that anxiety, it needs to be there because that's what's going to get your heightened awareness and all that going, you know? So I think you need that. And you need to acknowledge it and you need to embrace it, you know? And that's what's going to help you think logically in those types of situations, I feel like, you know? But yeah, I got there. I remember leaving because I would turn 18 and then I got sent to the county jail. And then from there, I would get sentenced and then boom, straight to Tracy. So I remember driving up to Tracy and getting up there and first seeing those big old palm trees in front of Tracy, you know, they're infamous, you know. It's like a forest of palm trees before you get there, you know. And then you get there and then you see the big old gates and the gunner tower and all that shit, you know. So yeah,
interesting to have something so beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
Palm trees right before you get fucking locked up.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was just, you know, I guess the beginning, the introduction to prison, because Tracy, you only stay there for a little bit, reception center.
Yeah.
Until you actually get sent to the prison that your point system matches you up with, you know.
Okay.
So everybody eventually goes through reception. It doesn't matter what crime you did, petty crime to murder, you know. You go through reception. It's like a filter system.
So Tracy is just filtering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they shut it down now, but yeah.
Okay. So where did they permanently send you?
Pelican Bay, level 4. Yeah.
Pelican Bay, level 4.
Yeah.
Now, what were the other men like in there?
What were they like?
Yeah.
It's very serious,
Because
man.
I would imagine that they're men that like you ain't trying to fuck with it. Like I would be scared.
No, everybody in there, it's a very serious environment, and it's hard to explain it to somebody who hasn't been there, right? There's a certain feeling on that yard or on any level 4 yard, right? I don't know what it is. It's like, maybe it's like when people are nervous, they sweat different. Maybe that smell of the sweat is different, or you can smell the fear in the air, the anxiety, the despair, you know? There's men in there that have given up on life.
Yeah.
So there's that level of despair that's going on in that place, and there's a level of danger that you feel it. It hits you, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember it's like walking into that building right away, and then you could hear everybody talking through their doors, and all these smells and senses are hitting me, you know?
Yeah, well, your heightened awareness is kicking in.
Heightened awareness, exactly. So I'm like, damn, this is it. I hope, you know, I hope and pray everything goes good for me.
Did you have a strategy to survive prison? Or was it...
At the time, super young, 18 years old, you know, my only strategy was just to learn, just to get there and learn what I can and learn how to survive and do what I'm told, you know? That's it.
Yeah. So you had told me that you spent time in solitary.
Yeah.
You said 8 years?
Yeah, 8 years, yeah.
What toll did that take on you mentally or emotionally, spiritually, every way?
Yeah. That's you know, I did 8 years in the SHU. Yeah. So, I mean, I would last like about a year and a half out there on the main line, where eventually I would get validated. It was a big sham. I'm talking about they would validate people fresh off the bus because they had a face tattoo, you know? It was just a way of keeping those cells full, because the prison makes more money off having a SHU. The officers that work in the SHU make more money because they live in a more dangerous environment. It was just a money scheme, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody there, you go, everybody in prison is somehow one way or another affiliated, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who they want to pick to fill the next cell, you know? So it was crazy, but yeah, I would go to the SHU, I'd get validated, and that's when I guess, that's when a lot of the, you know, mental struggles would begin, you know.
Do you feel like it broke you?
No.
No?
I don't think so. I think it was intended to break me, you know what I'm saying?
Do you think it built you?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. I think it was meant to break me, but it did the opposite, you know? I could tell you that Pelican Bay shoe was specifically designed to break inmates, right? The intention was to take the most dangerous inmates and put them in these extreme, harsh environments, no windows, no human contact, no visits, no nothing, you know? And you put them there until they're ready to cooperate with us and tell us whatever information we need to know, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what the intention was. It was to break you so that you can, hey, I'll tell you whatever you need to know, get me out of here, you know?
Yeah.
So, no, I didn't break. I stood solid, yeah. I stood solid. And
that's such a testament to your character, and not just your character, your mental fortitude.
yeah.
Because I don't think too many built like that.
No.
You know, a lot of people fold under pressure, but, you know, in life, my dad always says, you sink or you swim, right? And then you're faced with these challenges that really test that. Like, people think that we could say all day, like, what we would do in certain situations, but until you're really in that situation is what you know what you're really made out of.
Exactly. I couldn't tell you beforehand that I was going to be able to do that until I was there, and I had no choice but to do it. You know, that's when you're going to find out what you're made of, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in solitary, you're doing all this thinking, right?
Yeah.
What was that moment that began to change you?
That changed
What
me.
were you thinking about? You know, like, I know, like, I'll give you an example, right? For me, I hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
I was on meth. I was homeless.
Yeah.
Had $9. My homegirl busted a date so that my daughter could eat.
Yeah.
Wasn't with him. And in that moment, I realized, like, oh, shit, this is really rock bottom for me. Like, how am I going to make it out of this? And that's when I knew something had to change in my life.
Yeah.
And I turned to faith. I surrendered myself to God, and I said, you know what? Like, I can't do this. I've tried in my flesh to make all these decisions in my life, and I've gotten myself here. So I know where I lead myself, but where could you lead me? And I remember just surrendering to him in that sense. And then that's when all of a sudden, honestly, randomly, these fucking light bulbs just started going off in my head of things that I wouldn't think about before that I was like, oh, I got to do. Like, I got to go talk to my dad and say, you know, hey, let's have a serious conversation about where you failed as a parent, you know? And then in weird ways, those things started happening. And then I slowly began to notice like a change in myself.
Yeah.
So did you have a pivotal moment when you were like locked up that you were like, okay, there was that switch mentally for you?
Well, I guess it would have to be the fact that I faced the potential of doing the rest of my time in solitary confinement, you know? So I knew that if I didn't do it right, it was gonna break me in psychological ways, you know? Because I seen many people in there who lost their shit. Like, I'm talking about there's people who were validated in there for up to 30 years at a time, you know? And I'm sure they would probably look at themselves in the reflection of their TV and not even recognize who they see, you know? And I seen lots of that, you know, people who lost their minds, people who are talking to themselves, people who wipe shit all over the walls, who throw shit at cops, you know? Like, these are like really lost people, you know what I mean? And I know it was the conditions of the shoe that made them that way. They're just acting out, looking for attention, you know? So I knew I just had to be distracted. I had to be distracted in solitude, you know?
So what'd you do to distract yourself?
Yeah, I read a lot. I did the normal things that inmates do, you know? I read a lot. That's where I really started drawing and refining my art skills, you know?
And that's where it began.
Yeah, that's where it began.
Did you like art prior to that?
Yeah, I did. I just never really took it that serious, you know?
Yeah.
While I was in the shoe, I mean, I had to create a program, you know? So it would be like first thing in the morning, you know, I get up, I'd read a certain, maybe a educational book. Then I would work out. Then breakfast would come. I'd put my breakfast away. I'd finish cleaning. Then I would eat, you know, because food was so scarce in there that I would just have my breakfast and lunch together just so I could feel like I had a real meal, you know? So I'd put my breakfast aside, save it for lunch. Lunch would come around, you know, I would eat lunch, and then I'd probably write, because I did a lot of writing. A lot of writing. All kinds of shit. Wrote articles, I wrote poems. I have one of my old cellies. I had a cellie in there for 4 years, one person for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I did by myself for 4 years, I had a cellie, and me and him, we co-authored, not published, a book. Yeah, so
That's cool.
it took us like 2 years to write. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
What's it about?
It's called The Perspective of Two Inmates. I forgot what it was called.
I bet that's an
Perspective of Two
interesting
Prisoners.
read.
So it was kind of like general life topics, but what we as inmates think about it. But I don't think that we give the normal what people would think that an inmate would think.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of misconceptions about what people think, how we think or what we do in there, but I could tell you, like, I mean, it went from like just studying books. I wouldn't just read a book, I would read a book, then I would break down each chapter, and I would dissect each chapter, and we would have curriculums on them and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so the knowledge really expanded.
Yeah, and I was hungry for it, and it kept me busy, it kept me entertained, reading all kinds of different shit,
Yeah. So when you started doing the drawings,
Yeah.
did it ever occur in your mind, like, I could be a tattoo artist? Like, did you do tattooing in there?
So that's where it started. That's where it started in the shoe, where I had the cellie. So towards the end, I would say around 2011.
Yeah.
We'd be in the shoe, and then the infamous hunger strikes would begin, right?
Yeah.
So during the first hunger strikes, there was 3 hunger strikes in 3 years. So the first ones, we started getting a few privileges. Administration was like, whoa, let's give them some things and to shut them down. So some of those things were like sweats. We weren't allowed to have sweats. We would go we would go to the yard in our boxers and stuff. That's how they'd make us go to the yard, So they gave us sweats, and they let us have CD players or cassette players, but no CDs or cassettes though. It was just for the radio that was in there,
Yeah.
So yeah, right away I bought one, and my cellie, he came from YA, so he knew how to make machines and stuff, So we got one, and he put it together, and then we started tatting. I mean, I guess
Was it hard?
He started tatting me first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he started tatting me. I started getting I got my back, some of my back done, my chest, some stuff.
Did you do a decent job?
He did a decent job, but I call him a scripter. He's just good with the letters.
Oh, I won't make you take your shirt off on camera.
Yeah,
no worries.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Okay.
So then I would eventually, we would switch off, because we were both drawing in there, so.
Was it harder than you thought it was going to be to tattoo?
It was in the beginning. Hell yeah. Cause I messed them up a few times for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I did some stuff on my leg too,
Yeah.
so just practicing and stuff, but yeah.
Mistakes are part of the process,
Hell yeah.
right?
Hell yeah. So yeah, I know. I messed them up, man. But I mean, I did some stuff that came out cool towards the end.
Yeah.
Started coming out dope,
Yeah.
But I remember, like, we were the only ones in the section right there that we were coming out of the cell just blasting new ink. Everybody's like, what the hell, So
And you
it's
were
cool.
like, there was no infections, nothing going on?
No,
Because it's not a very sanitary environment, right?
We try to keep it as sanitary as possible. We would get cleaning supplies, we try to burn the tip of the needle to try to clean it. I never had no problem, as long as you don't share needles,
Yeah.
And then, like, when I really started getting into tattooing in there, once I tattooed you, I would give you the needle and tell you, when I tattoo you again, bring me the same needle,
Oh, clever.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart.
And then I would clean it once I got it back and do my little disinfectant process. I never had a problem with it. I guess there definitely could be some scumbags in there that, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So time passes, you get out.
Yeah.
Did you pursue tattooing right away?
Not right away, but I knew that that's something that I wanted to do right away, I knew that I came home, I didn't have shit. I didn't have nothing. Luckily, I had my now wife. She stepped up big time,
Yeah.
Because I'm still in contact with my family, but shit, they ain't doing much better since when I was a kid. They're still not doing good.
And having a real one on your side really does make a difference.
Right. So that kind of helped me out, So, but I also, like, I didn't have shit, So and I'm not gonna depend on her for shit either. So For sure. Like right away, I started applying jobs. I knew that that's what I needed to do. So, uh,
Like random jobs, like whatever
yeah, random
jobs?
jobs. Just I flooded the man. I just flooded everything I could. Just online.
Did you have any luck?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's why I don't understand what people are talking about. It's hard to find jobs.
Yeah.
It's just people have too many. I don't know. They're like they have too many standards of what the jobs. Money's money.
And I think a lot of it might be like character wise. You
Yeah.
present yourself as a very stand up, honorable person.
Right.
And I think
That
when
could be
you
it. Yeah.
when you meet people in person and just given the circumstances that you've lived and you meet someone in person, you can feel that presence.
Right,
and there's some people that walk around with a chip on their shoulder
Right.
or an entitlement or despair.
100%,
Right? And
yeah.
that hinders the ability to have those opportunities arise for them, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of it, I think, is self-inflicted, honestly.
No, I couldn't agree because I was thinking about that coming here. Word of advice to people, who are coming out fresh. It's all the mindset. It's all the energy you put out there. People worried about what's gonna happen when they come home, or if people are gonna trip on them, or how things are. I didn't have no problem whatsoever, and I feel like it's because I came out there with the right mindset.
Yeah, and you were hungry to change your life.
Right.
So you get into tattooing. You're located right now at Elk Grove Tattoo.
Elk Grove Tattoos, yeah.
Okay, and your work is tight. Your work is dope.
Appreciate
My
it.
husband
Hell
was
yeah.
following you for a while, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what? He reached out to you? That's cool."
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
cool.
how I saw all your work.
Yeah.
What was the process like to get there?
Yeah.
And you're doing your social media. You're marketing yourself.
I'm trying.
You're doing good work. Like,
Yeah.
what is that like for you to know that you went from being in solitary
Yeah.
to out here doing you're an entrepreneur, you're a
Right.
businessman.
Right,
You
right.
you're doing your stuff for yourself and your family.
Right.
How does that feel to know that you have able to overcome that adversity
No,
and
I
be so
mean,
successful the way you
For
have
sure,
been now?
I'm proud of myself, but there's times where I feel like it's not happening fast enough. I'm impatient, but I guess I feel like a lot of us feel like that,
And you were very
I feel
patient
like-
for a long
yeah,
time too.
like I feel like I lost a lot of time. I'm trying to make up for lost time, right? But I mean, I feel like I'm proud of myself, but I also it's nothing like where I don't know. I feel like I envisioned it, like it's supposed to happen. Like this is what I'm working for, so of course it's gonna happen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I didn't see it going no other way, other than the
Yeah.
fact that I wish things would go faster, but that's life, right? And I came out knowing that this shit wasn't gonna be easy, and there was gonna be a lot to learn, And part of my studies was learning the rule of mastery, right? Have you heard of that?
I have not.
The rule of mastery says that it takes you 10,000 hours to master a subject,
Wow.
right? Or 10
I
years.
believe it.
Or 10 years of consistent working
Yeah.
on it, right? So I feel like, I'm ready to put those years in. I'm not looking for a way out, So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get, I'm trying to earn everything I get.
Yeah. Dang, I got 9 years to go with this podcast and stuff.
Hey, let's grind. I'm with you.
Hey, we can.
Yeah.
I mean, discipline goes a long way. Integrity goes a long way. A lot of people quit when it's tough, but we learn as we go, and the mistakes only make you better, right?
Right.
The art of mastery.
Right, art of mastery.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm guessing everything is good with your family life. You got married. I think I lurked on your page a little bit last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
This year?
September.
There you go. We got married
September.
last year too in April.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
yeah.
We did. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations
To you and your
guys.
wife. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Everything's
She's a real
looking up.
one. Yep.
And you got a big boy son.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to hear. Well, you know what? Math ain't my strong suit. It makes sense. It makes sense. But
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't even know your age. But wow, more kids?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. Well, word of advice for people. I know you just said for the people that just came out, but in anybody facing any adversity in their life, what
Yeah.
are some of the key things that you've learned in life that are fundamental keys to success for you?
Well, I feel like once you get in there, right, you pick up a level of seriousness and apply that same level. You learn you learn what dedication is. You learn what hard work is. You learn what sacrifice is. All those things apply out here. I feel like everything I do out here, every move I make, I reference it off what I did in there.
Yeah.
Circumstances I face. That's all my point of reference is, you know. And I feel like I'm doing okay. You know, I feel like I'm doing okay. I feel like I made a lot of right decisions based on some of the lessons I learned in prison. Things like learning on how to talk to people, how to communicate, right? And there you have to learn how to be a chameleon.
Yeah.
Right? You have to learn how, if I need to talk to this guy, I need to talk to him on this manner. Or if I need to get at a CO or an administrative officer or something, I need to talk to him on a more professional level.
Yeah.
It's about learning, you know, your environment and learning. I'm a good people reader, and those are things that you pick up on in there, right?
Yeah. To be very observant.
Very observant. You pick up on energy, right?
Yeah.
I could pick up on if somebody's bullshitting, right, or things like that. And it's not. I think those are things. Those are skill sets that people you have, and you can use them. You know, and it's a part of maybe a part of our life, or maybe a part of trauma that we had in that life, but it's still tools.
Yeah.
It's still something that makes you different. You know, it makes you distinguishes you from out here. Because I could tell, like, I get around people out here, you know, and I'll be in a room and I just know that I'm different from everybody in there.
Yeah.
You know, nobody has had my experiences or my life lessons, you know, and I feel like people should embrace that, embrace that shit, because that's what makes you who you are. You have a specific skill set, and you just got to know how to harness it, you know.
Yeah,
you got to know
agree.
how to pull it out and apply it in the right way. Yeah.
That is extremely powerful right there, because it's so true. We can be the victors of our circumstances. You know, I always say we can't change the cards that were dealt to us, but we can change how we play them.
Yeah.
And building that mental fortitude is possible for everybody if you so desire, because you have to harness that power within yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Jesse, is there any last words that you would like to share with anybody? Anything you're working on? Anything you want to promote?
Well, I mean, just the shop, I want you guys to come check out El Grove Tattoos. It's a new shop. We've been around for about 1.5 years now. I've been there for about 8 months, but dope artists, hard hitters, very extreme professionalism. You guys come check us out, man.
I'll link your links for the shop and your link
for sure,
somewhere on the screen, guys. Well, that's awesome.
Sure.
I really appreciate you coming on and really just sharing your testimony and the gems and giving the people that potentially do business or have done business with you that more personable insight of you and who you are. I think that's such an important part to just human connection and networking. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. With me, I'm more likely to build those bonds with people that I know are being authentic, sincere, or just relatability.
Right.
So I appreciate you stepping out of like the norm and coming on here and sharing and just being a success story.
Yeah,
you know?
Thank you. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of my clients probably don't know that side about me, but there are some that do, you know, because I'm not ashamed of it. I don't hide from it. I feel like it comes out when it comes out, you know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like I wanted to come here to get my story out there. You know, I feel like I do, like, this is my life, tattooing, 100% my life. So with that, I want to share a piece of my past life with everybody, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a part of me. I embrace it. It's not going nowhere. And I'm going to, you know, use it. I'm gonna use it to the best I can.
Awesome. I love that. I love the impact that I know this is gonna have on everybody that watches it.
Hell
well, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. Everybody, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys want to see other people on the podcast, or I don't know, whoever it may be, DM me, email me. Go check out his work. You want some work done, go book with him.
Oh, yeah.
It's truly exceptional work. Like, I'm not even putting dubs on it. I will probably end up putting some pictures of your artwork because it's clean. It's clean.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, well, you have a wonderful night, Jesse. Thank you so much for being
Appreciate
here.
you.
Inked Up by Jay.
Let's go.
It'll be right here. Okay? You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.